Chapter 1. Hard hats and pink stickers. Roger Benton had learned two things in the past 3 years. 1. 5-year-olds have more energy than a nuclear reactor. 2. Nothing, absolutely nothing, was more terrifying than a glitter spill in your car. He glanced in the rearview mirror at the source of both truths. Emma Benton, his daughter, sat in her booster seat wearing a bright pink hard hat that looked like it had survived a unicorn explosion. Stickers of rainbows, kittens, and something that might have been a taco covered the helmet. Her steel-toed boots, custom made by Roger himself, were equally sticker-bombed. She was humming a song from a cartoon Roger had heard so many times he could recite it backward in his sleep. "Daddy," Emma said, kicking her boots against the seat. "Uncle Tony said he's going to teach me how to drive the big crane when I'm 6. Roger chuckled. "Uncle Tony says a lot of things. You're not driving a crane until you're at least 30. Emma gasped. 30. "Daddy, that's like old." "Thanks," Roger said dryly. "I'm 34. She tilted her head, considering this. "You're not old. You're medium." Roger grinned. "I'll take medium." The construction site behind them was winding down for the day. Roger had spent the afternoon inspecting scaffolding and lecturing a crew about why duct tape was not an OSHA-approved solution. His job as an on-site safety engineer wasn't glamorous, but it mattered, and he was good at it. The guys respected him, mostly because he kept them alive, and they adored Emma. Every time she visited, the toughest men on the crew turned into clowns, juggling wrenches and making animal noises just to hear her laugh. She called them all Uncle, and they wore the title like a badge of honor. Roger pulled onto the main road, mentally running through tomorrow's checklist. There was a promotion coming up, a big one. More money, better hours, less mud in his boots. He wanted it. He deserved it. But if it meant less time with Emma, he'd turn it down without blinking. Everything came second to her happiness. Always. His phone buzzed on the console. Foreman's name flashed on the screen. Roger frowned, then eased the SUV to the curb. He never answered calls while driving with Emma. Safety wasn't just his job, it was his life. "Hey, Carl," Roger said, picking up. "What's up?" Carl's gravelly voice filled the line. "Got a situation with the West scaffolding. Need you to look at it first thing tomorrow." "No problem," Roger said. The passenger door opened. Roger froze mid-sentence as a woman slid into the seat beside him like she owned it. She was maybe 30, with chestnut hair pulled into a messy bun and eyes red from crying. A phone was pressed to her ear, and tears streaked her cheeks. She barely glanced at Roger before cupping the receiver and blurting, "Maple Street Apartments. Please." Roger blinked. Maple Street was 5 minutes from his house. He opened his mouth to say something. Anything. But she was already back on her call, voice trembling. "I can't believe you're doing this," she whispered into the phone. 2 years, and you just walk away?" Roger stared at her, then at Emma, who was watching the scene with wide-eyed fascination. He'd seen that look before, the hollow, stunned expression of someone whose world had just imploded. He saw it every morning in the mirror after his own divorce. That sense of being alone when the world expected you to be strong. Carl was still talking in Roger's ear, but his words blurred into static. Roger muttered a quick goodbye and hung up. The woman sniffled, wiped her cheeks, and gave Roger a distracted glance. "Maple Street," she repeated, then returned to her call. Roger almost laughed. She thought he was an Uber driver. And honestly, she was having a bad day. He remembered wishing someone had been there for him when he needed help. So why not? He put the SUV in gear. His plan lasted exactly 97 seconds. "Daddy," Emma piped up from the back seat. "Who's the pretty lady?" The woman stiffened. Slowly, she turned and froze. Emma beamed at her, pink hard hat slightly askew, stickers glittering in the sunlight. "Oh my God," the woman whispered. Her eyes darted to Roger, then back to Emma. I thought, oh no." She covered her face with her hands. "I'm so sorry. I thought you were. Oh God, I just got in a random guy's car." Roger met her gaze in the rearview mirror. "Technically, yes." She groaned. "This is mortifying." Emma leaned forward as far as her seatbelt allowed. "Are you okay? You look sad." The woman blinked at her, then laughed, a shaky, broken sound. Yeah, just a bad day." Roger softened. "Don't worry about it. Maple Street, right? It's on my way." She hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you. I'm sorry." "No harm done," Roger said. "Happens all the time." "It does not," she muttered, but a tiny smile tugged at her lips. The ride was quiet except for Emma humming and the woman sniffling. When they reached Maple Street, Roger pulled up to a neat brick building. She unbuckled, then paused. "Listen," she said, voice steadier now. "You didn't have to do that." "Thank you." Roger shrugged. "No problem." Emma piped up again. "Do you have ice cream?" The woman blinked. Yes." Emma grinned. "Daddy loves coffee. I love ice cream." Roger groaned. "Emma." The woman laughed, really laughed this time, and something in Roger's chest shifted. "Come in," she said impulsively. "Coffee for you. Ice cream for her. Least I can do." Roger hesitated. He didn't do spontaneous. But Emma was already unbuckling, chanting, "Ice cream. Ice cream." Roger sighed. "Looks like you're stuck with us." Her name was Lila. Over coffee and melting vanilla scoops, she told him everything. The phone call had been her ex-fiancé, now officially ex, telling her he was moving and didn't want to get married. 2 years gone in a single sentence. She felt lost, humiliated, angry at herself for trusting him. Roger listened. Really listened. When she finished, he said quietly, It sucks now, but it gets better. One day you forget you're supposed to be sad. She stared at him. Did it get better for you? Roger smiled faintly. Eventually. They talked until Emma fell asleep on the couch, tiara slipping over one eye. When Roger finally left, Lila walked them to the door. Thank you, she said softly. For everything. Roger nodded. Anytime. He didn't know then that anytime would turn into late-night phone calls, shared laughter, and something neither of them had planned for. Chapter 2. Coffee, ice cream, and complications. Roger Benton had never been good at small talk. He could explain OSHA regulations in his sleep, but ask him to chat about the weather and he'd freeze like a deer in headlights. Which was why, as he stood in Lila's kitchen watching her scoop ice cream into a bowl shaped like a cat, he felt like he'd wandered into an alternate universe. Emma, of course, had no such problem. She was perched on a bar stool, swinging her legs and peppering Lila with questions like a tiny interrogator. Do you have a dog? Emma asked, eyes wide. Nope, Lila said, smiling faintly. Just me. Do you like unicorns? Sure. Do you know how to make slime? Roger groaned. Emma. What? Emma blinked innocently. It's important. Lila laughed, a real laugh this time, not the shaky one from earlier. I don't know how to make slime, she admitted, but I can Google it. Emma gasped like Lila had just offered her a pony. Daddy, can we make slime with her? Roger rubbed his forehead. We'll see. He wasn't sure how this had happened. One minute he was pulling over to take a work call. The next he was in a stranger's kitchen drinking coffee that smelled like heaven while his daughter plotted craft projects with said stranger. Life was weird. Lila set the ice cream in front of Emma, then poured coffee into a mug and slid it to Roger. Here, she said softly. Least I can do. Roger accepted it with a nod. Thanks. For a moment, silence stretched between them, comfortable but fragile. Lila leaned against the counter, arms crossed, and Roger noticed the faint tremor in her hands. She was holding it together, but barely. You okay? He asked quietly. She hesitated, then shrugged. Define okay. Roger smiled wryly. Not crying in a stranger's car? Her lips twitched. Progress. Emma looked up, mouth full of ice cream. Why were you crying? Roger shot her a look. Emma. What? I want to know. Lila chuckled, though her eyes were sad. I had a bad phone call. Emma tilted her head. Did someone steal your toys? Roger bit back a laugh. Not exactly. Lila crouched, so she was eye level with Emma. Someone I cared about decided they didn't want to be in my life anymore. Emma frowned. That's dumb. Roger blinked. Well, yeah. Emma reached out and patted Lila's hand with all the solemnity of a tiny queen bestowing mercy. You can be in our life, she declared. Daddy makes pancakes. Roger choked on his coffee. Emma. Lila laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. Pancakes, huh? Best in the world, Emma said proudly. And he wears a tiara when we have tea parties. Roger groaned. Emma. What? It's true. Lila's smile softened, and for a second, Roger saw something flicker in her eyes. Something warm, something curious. He looked away, suddenly fascinated by his coffee mug. They talked for an hour. About nothing and everything. Lila told him about her job, graphic designer, mostly freelance. Roger told her about construction sites and why duct tape was the enemy of safety. Emma chimed in with random facts about unicorns and demanded to know if Lila could whistle. She could, barely. By the time Roger glanced at his watch, it was past Emma's bedtime. He stood reluctantly. We should get going. Lila nodded, though something in her expression looked disappointed. Of course. Roger scooped Emma into his arms. She was half asleep, tiara slipping over one eye, and headed for the door. Lila followed, lingering in the doorway as the cool night air drifted in. Thank you, she said softly, for not making me feel like an idiot. Roger smiled faintly. We've all had bad days. She hesitated, then blurted. Can I give you my number? In case you ever need a ride? Her cheeks flushed. Or, if Emma wants to make slime. Roger blinked. He hadn't expected that. But before he could answer, Emma mumbled, slime, in her sleep like it was a sacred word. Roger chuckled. Sure. They exchanged numbers, and as Roger walked to his SUV, he felt something strange in his chest. Not love, not yet, but a spark, a possibility. That night, after Emma was tucked in and the house was quiet, Roger sat on the couch staring at his phone. He wasn't a guy who texted women at midnight. He wasn't even sure he remembered how, but something about Lila's laugh kept replaying in his head. Before he could overthink it, he typed, hope tomorrow's better than today. Simple. Safe. He hit send. The reply came 2 minutes later. It already is. Thanks to you. Roger stared at the screen, heart thudding. He didn't know what this was, but he knew one thing. Life had just gotten interesting. Chapter 3. The text that changed everything. Roger Benton had never been the guy who stared at his phone like a teenager waiting for a crush to reply. Yet here he was, sitting at his kitchen table at 7 in the morning, nursing a mug of coffee and glancing at his screen every 30 seconds like it held the secrets of the universe. Emma was in the living room, building a fortress out of couch cushions and stuffed animals. Every so often, she'd pop her head out and announce things like, Daddy, the unicorn army needs more pillows. Roger would dutifully supply reinforcements, then return to his silent battle with self-control. He'd texted Lila last night. She'd replied, short, sweet, and something about it had stuck with him. It already is. Thanks to you. Roger wasn't sure what that meant. Gratitude? Flirting? Polite niceness? He was 34, divorced, and apparently terrible at decoding modern text etiquette. His phone buzzed. Roger nearly spilled his coffee. He snatched up the phone, heart thudding. Lila, morning. Hope your day's less chaotic than mine. Roger stared at the words, then typed back before his brain could sabotage him. Depends. What's chaotic? The reply came fast. Client wants a logo that looks like a pineapple, but also a skyscraper. I'm questioning my life choices. Roger laughed out loud. Emma popped her head out of the pillow fort. What's funny? Just work stuff, Roger said, grinning as he typed. Sounds like they want a fruit salad in the skyline. 3 dots appeared. Exactly. Finally, someone gets it. Roger leaned back, smiling like an idiot. He hadn't expected this. Easy banter, lightness. It felt good. By noon, they'd exchanged a dozen messages. Nothing deep, just jokes, random complaints, and Emma's unsolicited input. Tell her I like pineapples. Roger found himself looking forward to each buzz of his phone like it was a lifeline. At lunch, Emma climbed onto his lap, peering at the screen. Is that the pretty lady? Roger hesitated. Her name's Lila. Emma grinned. Are you going to marry her? Roger choked on his sandwich. Emma. What? You need someone to make slime with us. Roger groaned. That's not how marriage works. Emma shrugged. It should. That evening, after Emma was dropped off at her mom's for the week, Roger sat in his quiet house feeling weird. He loved his daughter more than life. But when she wasn't there, the silence pressed in like a weight. Usually, he filled it with work or Netflix. Tonight, he found himself staring at his phone again. He typed before he could overthink. If you need a break from pineapple skyscrapers, I make decent coffee. He stared at the message, thumb hovering over send. Was that too forward? Too soon? He wasn't even sure he was ready for whatever this was. The phone buzzed before he could spiral. Lila. Tempting. But only if there's ice cream for Emma. Roger smiled. Deal. 2 days later, Lila showed up at his door. Roger had spent an hour cleaning like a man possessed, vacuuming, wiping counters, hiding the mountain of laundry in the closet. He told himself it wasn't a date. Just coffee. 2 adults talking. Totally normal. When the doorbell rang, his stomach did a backflip. Lila stood there in jeans and a soft gray sweater, hair loose around her shoulders. She looked different. Not like the tear-streaked woman from his SUV. Brighter. But her eyes still held a shadow, and Roger felt an unexpected urge to chase it away. Hey, she said, smiling nervously. Hope I'm not too early. Roger shook his head. No, you're good. Come in. The next hour was easy. They sat at his kitchen table, sipping coffee and talking about everything from childhood cartoons to why construction workers think duct tape is magic. Lila laughed. A lot. And Roger found himself laughing too, the kind of laugh that loosened something tight in his chest. At one point, Lila glanced around his kitchen and grinned. So, where's the tiara? Roger groaned. Emma told you that, didn't she? Absolutely, Lila said, eyes sparkling. Tea parties and tiaras. I'm impressed. Roger rubbed his face. She has no concept of privacy. Don't worry, Lila teased. Your secret's safe with me. When Lila finally left, Roger stood in the doorway watching her walk to her car. He felt lighter, like someone had opened a window in a stuffy room. His phone buzzed 5 minutes later. Lila, thanks for the coffee. And the laugh. I needed that. Roger stared at the message, a slow smile spreading across his face. He didn't know where this was going. But for the first time in a long time, he wanted to find out. Chapter 4. The Tiara Test. Roger Benton had faced OSHA audits, scaffolding collapses, and one memorable incident involving a cement mixer and a raccoon. None of that compared to the sheer terror of standing in the toy aisle at Target, holding a glitter-covered tiara while his phone buzzed with a text from Lila. Lila, Emma told me you're the king of tea parties. Is that true? Roger stared at the message, then at the tiara. He typed back. I prefer the term reluctant monarch. 3 dots appeared. Pics, or it didn't happen. Roger groaned. He could practically hear her laughing. He shoved the tiara into the cart next to a box of crayons and a unicorn coloring book. Emma was spending the weekend with him, and if history was any guide, there would be tea parties. And glitter. So much glitter. Saturday morning dawned bright and loud, mostly because Emma had decided 6:15 a.m. was the perfect time to announce, Daddy, today we're having a royal tea party. Roger stumbled out of bed, muttering something about coffee, and found Emma in the kitchen wearing a tutu and a plastic crown. You're late, she declared. Roger squinted. Late for what? The Royal Council, Emma said solemnly. We have important matters to discuss. Roger poured coffee. Like what? Slime, Emma said. And pancakes. Roger chuckled. Sounds like a solid agenda. By 10, the living room had transformed into a kingdom of chaos. A pink tablecloth draped over the coffee table, stuffed animals arranged like dignitaries, and a tea set that had seen better days. Emma sat at the head of the table, crown tilted, eyes sparkling. Daddy, she said, pointing to the tiara on the couch. You forgot your crown. Roger eyed the tiara like it was a live grenade. Do I have to? Emma crossed her arms. Kings wear crowns. Roger sighed, picked up the tiara, and settled it on his head. Emma beamed. Perfect. He snapped a quick selfie. Tiara, coffee mug, and his best, I surrender expression, and sent it to Lila with the caption, Long live the king. Her reply came fast. This is the best thing I've seen all week. Followed by, you look good in pink. Roger stared at the screen, heat creeping up his neck. Was that flirting? He wasn't sure. but he liked it. The tea party lasted an hour, complete with imaginary scones and a heated debate over whether unicorns could be royal advisors. Roger played along, because that's what he did. When Emma laughed, the world felt right. Afterward, while Emma colored at the table, Roger's phone buzzed again. Lila, how's the royal council? Roger snapped a photo of Emma surrounded by crayons and stuffed animals. Still in session. 3 dots appeared. She's adorable. You're a good dad. Roger stared at the words, something warm settling in his chest. He typed back. Thanks. She's my whole world. Lila, I can tell. That night, after Emma was asleep and the tiara safely hidden in the closet, Roger sat on the couch scrolling through their messages. He hadn't felt this light in years. Lila was funny, smart, and easy to talk to. But more than that, she understood something most people didn't. The quiet ache of starting over. He wanted to see her again. Really see her. Not just coffee at his kitchen table. But the thought of dating made his stomach twist. What if he messed up? What if Emma got attached and it fell apart? His phone buzzed. Lila. So, hypothetical question. If someone invited you to dinner, would you say yes? Roger stared at the screen, heart thudding. He typed slowly. Depends. Who's asking? 3 dots. Someone who owes you ice cream. Roger smiled. Then yes. Chapter 5. Dinner and disasters. Roger Benton had faced plenty of high-pressure situations in his life. Tight deadlines, safety audits, even a crane operator who thought physics was optional. None of that prepared him for the sheer panic of standing in front of his closet wondering what to wear for dinner with Lila. It wasn't a date. At least, that's what he kept telling himself. 2 adults sharing a meal. Totally normal. Except his stomach was doing somersaults and he'd Googled casual but not sloppy outfits, like a man on the brink. He settled on dark jeans and a button-down that Emma had once declared fancy. Good enough. The restaurant Lila picked was small and cozy, tucked between a bookstore and a florist. Warm lights spilled through the windows, and the smell of garlic and fresh bread hit Roger the second he walked in. He spotted Lila at a corner table, waving with a smile that made his pulse trip. She looked incredible. Simple black dress, hair loose, eyes bright. Roger suddenly felt like a guy who'd wandered into the wrong movie. Hey, he said, sliding into the seat across from her. Hey, she echoed, grinning. You clean up nice. Roger chuckled. You too. The first 10 minutes were easy. Menus, jokes about carbs, Lila teasing him about his construction guy appetite. Roger relaxed, thinking maybe this wouldn't be so hard. Then the waiter arrived. Can I start you off with drinks? The guy asked. Roger opened his mouth to say water, but Lila beat him to it. 2 glasses of the house red. Roger blinked. Wine? Sure. The waiter left, and Lila smirked. You okay? Yeah, Roger said quickly. Just haven't had wine in a while. How long is a while? Roger thought. 3 years. Lila laughed. Wow, big night for you. Roger grinned sheepishly. Guess so. Dinner was good. Great, even. They talked about everything. Her design work, his job, Emma's obsession with unicorns. Lila was funny, sharp, and easy to be around. Roger found himself leaning in, listening like every word mattered. Halfway through the meal, Lila's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, frowned, then sighed. Work emergency. Client hates the pineapple skyscraper. Roger chuckled. Shocking. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Sometimes I wonder why I do this. Roger studied her. Because you're good at it. She blinked. You don't even know that. Roger shrugged. You care enough to stress about it. That counts. Lila stared at him for a beat, then smiled, really smiled. You're kind of great, you know that? Roger felt heat creep up his neck. Don't spread that around. I have a reputation. The wine hit harder than Roger expected. By dessert, he was warm and a little too relaxed. Which was probably why, when the waiter asked if they wanted anything else, Roger blurted, slime. The waiter froze. Lila choked on her water. Roger realized what he'd said and groaned. Sorry, my kid's obsessed with slime. It's a thing. Lila laughed so hard she had tears in her eyes. Slime. At a restaurant. You're killing me. Roger rubbed his face. I swear I'm normal. Debatable. Lila teased, still grinning. When they stepped outside, the night air was cool and crisp. Roger walked Lila to her car, hands shoved in his pockets, heart thudding like a drum. This was nice, Lila said softly. Yeah, Roger agreed. Really nice. She hesitated, then leaned in and kissed his cheek. Quick, light, but enough to short-circuit Roger's brain. Good night, Roger, she murmured, slipping into her car. Roger stood there like an idiot, watching her taillights disappear. His cheek tingled. His heart raced. And for the first time in years, he felt something he hadn't dared hope for. Possibility. That night, his phone buzzed. Lila, thanks for dinner. And for making me laugh. I needed that. Roger stared at the message, a slow smile spreading across his face. He typed back, anytime. And he meant it. Chapter 6. Pancakes and Possibilities. Roger Benton had one rule. When Emma was with him, the world revolved around her. No exceptions. Which was why, when his phone buzzed with a text from Lila on Saturday morning, he hesitated before answering. Lila, hope you're having a good weekend. Tell Emma hi for me. Roger smiled, thumb hovering over the keyboard. He typed. She's currently negotiating pancake toppings like a world leader. 3 dots appeared. Sounds intense. What's on the table? Roger glanced at Emma, who was standing on a chair in her unicorn pajamas, pointing at a lineup of syrup bottles like a general planning an invasion. Chocolate chips, strawberries, and glitter. He typed, glitter is not a food group. Lila's reply came fast. Debatable. Roger chuckled, shaking his head. He set the phone down and focused on pancakes. But the thought lingered. Lila wanted to say hi to Emma. And Emma, well, Emma had been talking about Lila nonstop since the tea party selfie incident. By mid-morning, Emma was sprawled on the living room rug coloring a picture of a unicorn wearing a hard hat. Roger was rinsing dishes when she piped up. Daddy? Yeah. Can the pretty lady come over? Roger froze, plate in hand. Lila. Emma nodded, eyes bright. She likes slime. And ice cream. And she laughed at your tiara. Roger groaned. You told her about that? Emma grinned. She said you looked cute. Roger blinked. She said that. Emma shrugged like it was obvious. So can she come? Roger hesitated. He wasn't sure if he was ready for whatever this was. But Emma's hopeful expression was hard to resist. I'll ask her, he said finally. Emma squealed. Yay. Roger texted Lila before he could overthink. Emma wants to know if you're free for slime and ice cream. The reply came almost instantly. That's the best invitation I've ever gotten. What time? Roger stared at the screen, heart thudding. He typed, whenever you want. Lila arrived an hour later, carrying a bag of craft supplies and a tub of rainbow sprinkles. Emma greeted her like royalty, dragging her into the kitchen and launching into a detailed explanation of slime-making techniques. Roger watched from the doorway, amused, and something else. Something warm. Lila glanced up and smiled. Hope you're ready for chaos. Roger chuckled. I work on construction sites. I can handle slime. Famous last words, Lila teased. The next 2 hours were a glitter-filled fever dream. Slime oozed across the table. Sprinkles ended up in places sprinkles should never be, and Emma declared herself queen of goo. Roger wore more glue than he cared to admit, but Emma was laughing so hard she snorted, and that made it worth it. At one point, Lila leaned close to show Emma how to swirl colors, and Roger caught the faint scent of her shampoo, something clean and soft. His chest tightened. He wasn't sure what to do with that feeling. After the slime apocalypse was contained and Emma was happily eating ice cream, Roger and Lila ended up on the couch, talking quietly while cartoons played in the background. She's amazing, Lila said, watching Emma with a smile. You're really good at this. Roger shrugged. I just try not to screw up. Lila turned to him. You don't give yourself enough credit. Roger met her gaze, and for a moment, the room felt smaller, quieter. His heart thudded like a hammer. He cleared his throat. You're good with her. Lila smiled softly. I like her. She's pure joy. Roger nodded, words sticking in his throat. He wanted to say more, wanted to tell her how much this meant, how much she meant, but Emma bounded over, Tiara Askew, and announced, Daddy, we need more glitter. Roger laughed, tension breaking. On it, Your Majesty. When Lila finally left, Emma waved from the doorway, clutching a jar of slime like treasure. Bye, pretty lady. Lila crouched to hug her. Bye, sweetheart. Save some glitter for next time. Emma gasped. There's gonna be a next time? Lila glanced at Roger, eyes warm. If your dad says yes. Emma turned to Roger with a look that could melt steel. Daddy. Roger smiled. We'll see. That night, after Emma was asleep and the house was quiet, Roger sat on the couch staring at his phone. He typed, thanks for today. Emma had a blast. Lila replied almost instantly. Me too. You're easy to be around, Roger. Roger stared at the words, heart pounding. He typed back. You too. And for the first time in years, he let himself wonder. Maybe this wasn't just possibility. Maybe it was the start of something real. Chapter 7. The weight of what matters. Roger Benton had always believed life was about priorities. For him, that meant Emma first, everything else second. It was simple, clear. Until now. He sat in his truck outside the construction site, staring at the email on his phone like it was a ticking bomb. Subject, promotion opportunity, senior safety manager body. Roger, we'd like to formally consider you for the position. Increased salary, benefits, and oversight of multiple sites. Let's discuss next week. Roger exhaled slowly, gripping the steering wheel. This was what he'd worked for. Years of long hours, meticulous reports, and keeping crews alive in conditions that would make lesser men quit. The job meant more money, more stability, and a title that carried weight. It also meant travel, meetings, oversight of 3 sites instead of 1. Less time at home, less time with Emma. Roger's stomach twisted. He could already hear the voices, his friends, his family. You deserve this. Think about your future. But Roger's future had a name and a pink hard hat. If this promotion stole hours from her, was it worth it? His phone buzzed. A text from Lila. Lila, survived another client meltdown. How's your day? Roger stared at the screen, then typed. Complicated. 3 dots appeared. Want to talk about it? Roger hesitated. He wasn't sure he was ready to say it out loud. But something about Lila, the way she listened without judgment, made him want to try. Maybe later, he typed. Emma's with me tonight. Pancake negotiations round 2. Lila, tell her glitter is a valid topping. Roger chuckled despite himself. For a moment, the weight on his chest eased. But the email still sat there, heavy as concrete. That evening, Emma was sprawled on the couch watching cartoons while Roger flipped pancakes in the kitchen. He tried to focus on the sizzle, the smell of butter, the sound of Emma's laughter, but his mind kept circling back to that email. Daddy, Emma called. Can we make slime after dinner? Roger smiled faintly. Sure. Can Lila come? Roger froze, spatula hovering midair. Not tonight, kiddo. Emma pouted. Why not? Roger sighed. She's busy. Emma considered this, then shrugged. Next time. Roger turned back to the stove, throat tight. Next time. He wanted there to be a next time. But what if this promotion changed everything? What if he couldn't give Emma the time she deserved? Or Lila the attention she needed? Later, after Emma was asleep and the house was quiet, Roger sat at the kitchen table staring at his laptop. He opened the email again, reading every word like it might rearrange itself into something easier. Senior Safety Manager. Oversight of multiple sites. Travel required. He rubbed his face, exhaustion pressing in. He wanted this job. He'd earned it. But every scenario he imagined ended with less time for tea parties and tiaras. Less time for slime and bedtime stories. Less time for Emma. And now, maybe less time for Lila. His phone buzzed. A text from her. Lila, still complicated? Roger stared at the screen, then typed. Yeah, work stuff. 3 dots appeared. One event. Roger hesitated, then typed. Got offered a promotion. Big one. But it means travel. Less time at home. The reply came fast. Wow, that's huge. Congrats. Then, after a pause. But I get why you're torn. Roger exhaled, tension easing a fraction. Emma comes first. Always. Lila, that's one of the things I like about you. Roger stared at the words, heart thudding. He typed back. Not sure what to do. Lila, you'll figure it out. You always do. Roger set the phone down, her words echoing in his head. He wasn't sure if he believed them. But for the first time tonight, he felt less alone. The next day at the site, Carl cornered him near the scaffolding. Heard about the promotion, the foreman said, grinning. About damn time. Roger forced a smile. Yeah. Carl frowned. You don't look thrilled. Roger shrugged. Just thinking. Carl studied him. It's a good gig, Roger. Better pay, better hours. Not better hours, Roger cut in. More travel. Carl waved a hand. You'll manage. Roger didn't answer. Because managing wasn't enough. Emma deserved more than scraps of his time. And if he was honest, so did Lila. That night, Roger sat on the couch with Emma curled against him, watching a movie about talking animals. Her head rested on his shoulder, her tiny hand clutching his arm. Roger breathed in the scent of her shampoo, bubblegum, and something sweet, and felt the weight of the decision pressing harder. He could take the promotion, build a future, give Emma more security. But what good was security if it cost him moments like this? Emma yawned, whispering, love you, Daddy. Roger kissed her hair, love you more. And in that moment, he knew, whatever he chose, it had to keep this safe. This bond. This time. Even if it meant turning down the biggest opportunity of his career. Chapter 8. Confessions over coffee. Roger Benton wasn't nervous often. He'd walked steel beams 50 feet in the air, stared down foremen twice his size, and handled emergencies that would make most men sweat. But standing outside Lila's apartment with a box of donuts and a knot in his stomach? That was a whole new level. He'd texted her last night. Can we talk tomorrow? Face to face. She'd replied, of course. Coffee's on me. Now, as he knocked on her door, Roger wondered if he was about to ruin something good. Lila opened the door wearing jeans and a soft blue sweater, hair pulled back in a messy bun. She smiled when she saw him, and the donuts. Bribery. Smart move. Roger grinned weakly. Figured it couldn't hurt. She stepped aside, letting him in. The apartment smelled like vanilla and something warm. A half-finished design project sat on the coffee table, bright colors scattered across the screen. Roger set the donuts down and sank onto the couch, suddenly feeling like a man about to jump off a cliff. Lila handed him a mug of coffee and sat across from him, legs tucked under her. So, what's on your mind? Roger stared at the steam rising from his cup, then took a breath. I got offered a promotion. Lila's eyes widened. Roger, that's amazing. He nodded slowly. It is. But it means travel. Oversight of multiple sites. Less time at home. Lila's smile faded. Oh. Roger rubbed the back of his neck. Emma comes first. Always. If this job takes time away from her, I can't do it. Lila studied him, expression soft. That's honestly incredible. Most people would jump at the chance. Roger shrugged. Most people don't have Emma. Silence stretched for a moment, filled only by the hum of the fridge and the faint sound of traffic outside. Then Lila said quietly, you're a good dad. Roger met her gaze, something tight in his chest. I try. You succeed, she said firmly. Emma's lucky. Roger swallowed hard. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing enough. Lila tilted her head. Roger, you're wearing tiaras and making slime. That's more than enough. He chuckled, tension easing a fraction. She does keep me on my toes. Lila smiled, then hesitated. So what are you going to do? Roger stared at his coffee. I don't know. Part of me wants to take it. Give Emma more security. But the other part, the part that matters, doesn't want to miss a single bedtime story. Lila nodded slowly. Sounds like you already know your answer. Roger looked up, meeting her eyes. Maybe. For a moment, they just sat there, the air thick with something unspoken. Roger wanted to tell her everything. How much he liked talking to her, how much he liked her. But the words stuck, heavy and awkward. Lila broke the silence with a small smile. You know, most guys would have bragged about the promotion. You're worried about bedtime stories. That's rare. Roger shrugged, heat creeping up his neck. Emma's my world. I know, Lila said softly. And that's why. She trailed off, biting her lip. Roger leaned forward. Why what? She hesitated, then laughed nervously. Why I like being around you. Roger's heart thudded like a hammer. You do? Lila met his gaze, cheeks flushed. Yeah, I do. Roger stared at her, words failing him. Then, before he could overthink, he reached out and took her hand. Her fingers curled around his like it was the most natural thing in the world. For a long moment, they just sat there, hands entwined, hearts racing. Eventually, Lila squeezed his hand and smiled. So what now? Roger exhaled slowly. I don't know, but I want to figure it out. Lila's smile widened. Me too. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking, really talking. About fears, hopes, the weirdness of starting over. Roger told her about the night he signed his divorce papers and ate cold pizza on the kitchen floor. Lila told him about the day she realized her ex wasn't coming back and how she'd felt like a ghost in her own life. There were tears. There was laughter. And somewhere between the second cup of coffee and the last donut, Roger realized something. He wasn't just falling for Lila. He was trusting her, with his thoughts, his fears, his heart. And that scared him more than any scaffolding collapse ever could. When Roger finally left, the sky was streaked with orange and pink. Lila walked him to the door, her hand brushing his as she said softly, "Thanks for trusting me." Roger smiled faintly. "Thanks for listening." She hesitated, then leaned in and kissed his cheek. Longer this time, lingering just enough to make his pulse trip. "Good night, Roger," she whispered. Roger walked to his truck feeling like the ground had shifted beneath him. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, promotion, decisions, complications. But he knew one thing for sure. He wanted Lila in his life. Whatever it took. Chapter 9. The choice that changed everything. Roger Benton had never stared at a single email for so long in his life. The promotion offer sat in his inbox like a flashing neon sign. Senior safety manager. Increased salary. Multi-site oversight. Travel required. He'd read it 100 times. He'd imagined every scenario. Accepting, declining, trying to make it work. And every time, the same question echoed in his head. What matters most? Carl found him in the break room, nursing a coffee like it held the answers. "You look like a man about to jump off a bridge," the foreman said, grabbing a donut. Roger grunted. "Feels like it." Carl eyed him. "Still thinking about the promotion?" Roger nodded. Carl shrugged. "It's a good gig, Roger. You'd kill it." Roger stared at his coffee. "Yeah, but it means less time at home." Carl snorted. "You're the only guy I know who'd hesitate over a raise because of bedtime stories." Roger smiled faintly. "Emma comes first." Carl softened. "You're a damn good dad. Whatever you decide, she'll know that." Roger nodded, but the weight didn't lift. Because it wasn't just Emma anymore. It was Lila. And the thought of starting something real with her while juggling a job that pulled him away, that felt like building a house on sand. That night, Roger sat at the kitchen table after Emma was asleep, laptop open, email glowing like a challenge. He could take the job, give Emma more security. But what good was security if it cost him moments like tonight? Her giggles during bath time, her sleepy "love you" as he tucked her in. He closed the laptop. Decision made. The next morning, Roger walked into the site office and told Carl, "I'm turning it down." Carl blinked. "You sure?" Roger nodded. "Positive." Carl studied him for a long moment, then grinned. "You're a better man than most." Roger smiled faintly. "Just a dad who knows what matters." Later that day, Roger texted Lila. "Can I see you tonight?" Her reply came fast. "Absolutely." "Everything okay?" Roger typed. "Better than okay. I need to tell you something." Lila's apartment was warm and bright when Roger arrived, heart pounding like a jackhammer. She opened the door with a smile that made his pulse trip. "Hey, you look intense." Roger chuckled nervously. "Sorry, big day." She ushered him in, and they settled on the couch, coffee mugs in hand. Lila tilted her head. "So what's up?" Roger took a breath. "I turned down the promotion." Lila blinked. "You what?" "What?" Roger met her gaze, voice steady. "Because it meant less time with Emma. And I'm not willing to trade that." Lila stared at him, eyes wide. "Roger, that's huge." He shrugged. "She's my world. Everything else comes second." Lila smiled softly. "That's honestly incredible." Roger hesitated, then added quietly. "And I want time for other things too." Her brows lifted. "Other things." Roger swallowed hard. "Like you." Silence stretched, thick and electric. Lila's eyes softened, and then she laughed, a shaky, breathless sound. "Roger Benton, are you saying what I think you're saying?" Roger smiled faintly. "I think so." Lila set her mug down and moved closer, her knees brushing his. "Good. Because I've been hoping you'd say it." Roger's heart thudded like a drum. "You have." She nodded, eyes bright. "Yeah." And then, before he could overthink, she leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't a movie-perfect moment. It was better, warm, real, and steady, like something built to last. Roger kissed her back, hands trembling, heart soaring. When they finally pulled apart, Lila smiled. "So what now?" Roger grinned. "Now? We figure it out. One day at a time." Lila squeezed his hand. "Sounds perfect." Later, as Roger drove home under a sky full of stars, he felt lighter than he had in years. He didn't have the promotion. He didn't have all the answers. But he had Emma. He had Lila. And for the first time in a long time, he had hope. And that was enough. Chapter 10. Glitter, Goats, and Growing Pains. Roger Benton had survived construction site chaos. but nothing prepared him for the battlefield of a petting zoo on a Saturday morning. Emma was practically vibrating with excitement in the back seat, wearing her pink hard hat, because safety first, daddy, and clutching a bucket of feed like it was gold. Lila sat in the passenger seat, laughing as Emma listed every animal she planned to hug. Goats, bunnies, llamas, and maybe a chicken, Emma declared. But not the pigs. They smell like daddy's boots. Roger groaned. Thanks, kiddo. Lila grinned. She's not wrong. Roger shot her a look, but his lips twitched. He couldn't remember the last time a Saturday felt this good, sunlight streaming through the windshield, Emma's laughter filling the car, and Lila beside him, humming along to the radio like she belonged there. The petting zoo was a riot of color and noise. Kids running, animals bleeding, parents negotiating peace treaties over snacks. Emma bolted toward the goats the second they walked in, tiara bouncing on her head. Emma, slow down. Roger called, jogging after her. She's fine, Lila said, laughing as she handed Roger a second bucket of feed. You're more nervous than the goats. Roger muttered something about liability and followed Emma, who was already introducing herself to a goat named Harold. Hi, Harold. I'm Emma. You're cute. Roger crouched beside her, holding out feed. The goat lunged, nearly knocking the bucket from his hand. Roger stumbled, and Lila laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. Okay, Roger said dryly. Harold's aggressive. Emma giggled. He likes you, Daddy. Roger eyed the goat. He likes snacks. The next hour was chaos in Technicolor. Emma hugged every animal in sight. Lila snapped pictures like a pro, and Roger tried not to get trampled by a rogue llama. At one point, Emma convinced him to wear a flower crown so the bunnies know you're friendly. Roger complied, because saying no to Emma was like saying no to gravity, and Lila nearly dropped her phone laughing. You're killing me, she said, snapping a photo. Flower crown suits you. Roger groaned. I'm starting to regret this. Don't, Lila said softly, eyes warm. She's happy. That's what matters. Roger looked at Emma, cheeks flushed, eyes bright, and felt his chest tighten. Yeah, he murmured. That's what matters. After the petting zoo, they hit a small diner for lunch. Emma demolished a stack of pancakes while Roger and Lila shared fries and easy conversation. It felt natural, like they'd done this 100 times. Halfway through lunch, Emma announced, Lila should come to tea party day. Roger blinked. Tea party day? Emma nodded solemnly. Every Sunday. Daddy wears the tiara. Lila grinned. Sounds like an honor. Roger groaned. Emma. What? You look cute, Emma said, mouthful of pancake. Roger rubbed his face. I'm never living that down. On the drive home, Emma fell asleep in the back seat, tiara slipping over one eye. Roger glanced at her in the mirror, then at Lila, who was watching Emma with a soft smile. She's amazing, Lila said quietly. Roger nodded. She's my whole world. Lila looked at him, eyes warm. And you're hers. Roger swallowed hard, something shifting in his chest. He wanted to say more, wanted to tell Lila how much today meant, but the word stuck. Instead, he reached over and brushed his fingers against hers on the console. Lila's hand curled around his like it was the most natural thing in the world. When they pulled into Roger's driveway, Emma stirred, yawning. Daddy. Yeah, kiddo. Can Lila stay for slime? Roger chuckled. Not today. She's got work. Emma pouted. Next time. Roger glanced at Lila, who smiled. Next time, she promised. Emma beamed, satisfied, and Roger felt something warm settle in his chest. Next time. He liked the sound of that. Later, after Emma was tucked in and the house was quiet, Roger sat on the couch scrolling through the photos Lila had sent. Emma laughing with a bunny, Roger wearing a flower crown, all three of them smiling like they belonged together. His phone buzzed. Lila, today was perfect. Thank you. Roger stared at the words, a slow smile spreading across his face. He typed back, thank you. For everything. And for the first time in years, Roger didn't just feel like a dad doing his best. He felt like a man building something real. Chapter 11. Cracks in the perfect picture. Roger Benton had always believed that if you worked hard and loved fiercely, things would fall into place. But life had a way of testing that theory. It started small. A text from Lila on Thursday afternoon. Lila, client emergency. Might have to cancel Saturday. Roger stared at the message, thumb hovering over the keyboard. Saturday was supposed to be their second family day. Emma had been talking about it all week, planning a tea party menu that included sparkle sandwiches and royal juice. Roger typed back, no problem. Work happens. But as he hit send, his chest tightened. Because Emma wasn't going to take work happens well. That night, Emma was sprawled on the living room rug coloring a picture of a unicorn wearing a tiara. Roger sat beside her, trying to find the right words. Hey kiddo, he said gently. About Saturday. Emma looked up, eyes bright. Tea party day. Roger swallowed. Lila might not make it. She's busy with work. Emma's face fell. But she promised. Roger rubbed her back. She didn't break her promise, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups have to work. Emma frowned, lip trembling. I wanted her to come. Roger's heart squeezed. I know. Me too. Emma was quiet for a long moment, then whispered. Is she not going to be our friend anymore? Roger blinked. What? No. She's still our friend. Emma nodded slowly, but the sparkle in her eyes dimmed. Roger felt something twist inside him, a mix of guilt and fear. He'd promised himself Emma would never feel second to anything. And now here they were. Later, after Emma was asleep, Roger sat on the couch staring at his phone. He typed, Emma's disappointed. She was really looking forward to Saturday. Lila replied almost instantly, Roger, I'm so sorry. I hate this. I'll try to finish early. Roger hesitated, then typed, don't stress. I just don't want her to feel let down. 3 dots appeared then, I get it. I don't want that either. Roger set the phone down, tension pressing in. He liked Lila, more than liked her. But this was the reality. Emma came first. Always. And if that meant hard conversations, so be it. Saturday morning, Roger tried to make up for it. Extra pancakes, glitter crafts, a movie marathon. Emma smiled, but it wasn't the same. Every so often, she'd glance at the door like she was waiting for a knock that never came. By evening, Roger's phone buzzed. Lila, just finished. I can swing by for a bit if you're okay with that. Roger stared at the message, then at Emma curled on the couch in her unicorn pajamas. He typed, she's tired. Rain check. Lila, of course. I'm sorry, Roger. Roger sighed, setting the phone down. He wasn't angry, not really, but something heavy settled in his chest. Was this what it would be like? Balancing Emma's needs with Lila's life? Could he do it without someone getting hurt? The next day, Roger and Lila met for coffee, just the two of them. The moment he saw her, guilt and longing collided in his chest. She looked exhausted, hair pulled back, eyes shadowed. I'm sorry, she said before he could speak. I wanted to be there. Roger shook his head. You don't have to apologize. Work happens. Lila studied him. But you're upset. Roger hesitated. Not at you. Emma was disappointed. And that's hard. Lila nodded slowly. I get it. I don't want to let her down. Roger exhaled. I don't want you to feel like you have to choose between your life and this. Lila reached across the table, fingers brushing his. Roger, I want this. I want you. And Emma. But I need you to be honest when it's hard. Roger met her gaze, something tight in his chest. It's hard, he admitted. Because she's my world. And I'm scared of messing this up, for her. For you. Lila squeezed his hand. Then we figure it out. Together. Roger stared at her, heart thudding. And for the first time since Saturday, the weight eased, just a little. They spent the next hour talking, really talking. About boundaries, expectations, fears. It wasn't easy, but it was real. And when Roger walked Lila to her car, he felt something shift. This wasn't just dating. This was building a life. And that meant work. Compromise. Honesty. Roger kissed her softly before she left, a promise in the touch. They weren't perfect, but they were trying. And maybe that was enough. Chapter 12. Balloons, chaos, and something beautiful. Roger Benton had faced OSHA inspections, crane malfunctions, and one memorable incident involving a cement mixer and a raccoon. None of that compared to the sheer terror of hosting a 5-year-old's birthday party. His living room looked like a unicorn had exploded. Pink and purple balloons floated everywhere, streamers dangled from the ceiling, and a banner reading Happy Birthday, Emma, stretched across the wall. The kitchen table groaned under the weight of cupcakes, glittery plates, and a cake shaped like a castle, because Emma had declared herself princess of pancakes and slime. Roger stood in the middle of the chaos, adjusting his borrowed tiara, Emma insisted, and wondering if he'd lost his mind. Then the doorbell rang. Emma squealed. Lila's here. Roger's heart thudded as he opened the door. Lila stood there holding a gift bag and wearing a smile that made his pulse trip. She looked perfect. Simple dress, hair loose, eyes bright. And when Emma launched herself into Lila's arms, giggling, Roger felt something warm settle in his chest. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Lila said, hugging Emma tight. You look amazing. Emma twirled in her tutu. Daddy says I'm the queen today. Lila grinned. He's not wrong. Roger chuckled. Come in before the glitter storm hits. The next hour was a blur of laughter and chaos. Emma's friends arrived, the house filled with squeals and the sound of tiny feet pounding across the floor. Roger manned the snack table like a soldier in enemy territory, while Lila dove into craft duty, helping the kids make slime without turning the carpet into a crime scene. At one point, Roger glanced over and saw Lila kneeling beside Emma, both of them laughing as they added rainbow sprinkles to a jar of goo. The sight hit him like a punch, soft and unexpected. She belonged here, not just as a guest, but as part of something bigger. The cake was a triumph, mostly because Roger managed to light the candles without setting the tiara on fire. Everyone sang, Emma beamed, and Roger felt his throat tighten. 5 years old. How had time moved so fast? After the presents were opened and the sugar rush began to fade, the kids sprawled in the living room watching cartoons. Roger slipped into the kitchen to catch his breath and found Lila there, rinsing slime off her hands. You survived, she teased, handing him a towel. Roger chuckled. Barely. Lila smiled, then sobered. Roger, this was amazing. For Emma. For you. Roger shrugged, drying his hands. She deserves it. Lila studied him, eyes soft. You do too. Roger blinked. Me? She nodded. You give her everything. But you deserve happiness too. Roger swallowed hard, something tight in his chest. I'm trying. Lila stepped closer, her voice gentle. You're doing more than trying. Roger met her gaze, heart thudding. I want this, Lila. You. Us. But I need you to know. Emma will always come first. Lila smiled, eyes shining. That's why I want this too. Roger exhaled, relief washing through him. And then, before he could overthink, he kissed her. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't tentative. It was steady, warm, and full of promise. When they pulled apart, Lila rested her forehead against his, whispering, "Happy birthday to Emma. And maybe to us." Roger smiled, feeling something he hadn't felt in years: hope. Real, solid hope. Later, after the guests left and Emma was curled on the couch clutching her new unicorn plush, Roger sat beside her, Lila on his other side. Emma looked up, sleepy-eyed, and whispered, "Daddy?" "Yeah, kiddo. Can Lila come to tea party day forever?" Roger glanced at Lila, who grinned. "Forever's a long time," he said softly. Emma yawned. "It's okay. We have lots of glitter." Roger laughed, kissing her hair. "We'll see, sweetheart." But as he met Lila's gaze over Emma's head, he knew the answer. Forever sounded pretty good. Chapter 13. Forever and Glitter. Roger Benton had never been a man who believed in perfect endings. Life was messy. People were complicated. But as he stood in his kitchen on a quiet Sunday morning, flipping pancakes while Emma hummed and Lila set the table, he thought maybe, just maybe, he'd been wrong. The sunlight streamed through the window, catching the glitter still clinging to the curtains from yesterday's birthday chaos. Emma wore her tiara, perched on a chair like royalty, while Lila laughed at something Emma said about royal slime regulations. Roger glanced at them, heart full. This wasn't perfect. It was better. It was real. After breakfast, Emma announced, "Tea party time," and dragged both adults into the living room. Roger surrendered to his fate, donning his tiara while Lila wore a paper crown Emma had crafted with stickers and sheer determination. They sat cross-legged on the floor, sipping imaginary tea from plastic cups while Emma presided like a benevolent queen. At one point, Emma leaned over and whispered loudly, "Daddy, Lila's good at tea parties. You should keep her." Roger choked on air. Lila laughed so hard she nearly spilled pretend tea. "Emma," Roger said, trying not to grin, "people aren't things you keep." Emma frowned. "But she makes you smile." Roger swallowed hard, meeting Lila's gaze. "Yeah," he said softly. "She does." Later, when Emma was busy organizing her stuffed animals into a royal court, Roger and Lila slipped into the kitchen for coffee. The air between them felt different, lighter, but charged with something important. Lila leaned against the counter, watching him. "So, where do we go from here?" Roger set down his mug, meeting her eyes. "I don't have all the answers, but I know what I want." Lila tilted her head. "And what's that?" Roger took a breath. "I want this. You. Us. I want Emma to grow up knowing what love looks like, not just from her parents, but from the people who choose to stay." Lila's eyes softened, shimmering with something that made Roger's chest ache. "Roger." He stepped closer, voice steady. "I'm not asking for perfect. I'm asking for real. For trying. For showing up, even when it's hard." Lila smiled, tears threatening. "That's all I want to." Roger exhaled, relief washing through him. And then he kissed her, slow, sure, full of promise. That afternoon, they took Emma to the park. She ran ahead, tiara bouncing, laughter ringing out like music. Roger and Lila walked side by side, fingers intertwined, talking about everything and nothing. Work, dreams, the best way to remove glitter from carpet. Spoiler, you can't. At one point, Lila glanced at him, eyes bright. "You know, you could have taken that promotion. Most people would have." Roger shrugged. "Most people don't have Emma." "And me?" she teased. Roger smiled. "And you." Lila squeezed his hand, and Roger felt something settle deep inside, a quiet certainty. He'd made the right choice. Not because it was easy, but because it mattered. That night, after Emma was asleep and the house was still, Roger and Lila sat on the porch watching the stars. The air was cool, the world hushed, and for the first time in years, Roger felt whole. "You ever think about the future?" Lila asked softly. Roger nodded. "Every day." And Roger turned to her, voice steady. "I see Emma. I see you. I see us. Building something that lasts." Lila smiled, tears glinting in the starlight. "Sounds perfect." Roger shook his head, grinning. "Not perfect. Just real." She laughed, leaning into him. "Real works for me." Roger wrapped an arm around her, holding her close as the night stretched quiet and endless. Tomorrow would bring challenges, work, schedules, glitter invasions. But tonight was theirs. And for Roger Benton, that was enough. 3 months later, Roger found himself at another tea party. This time with Lila wearing the tiara and Emma declaring, "Daddy, you're the royal pancake chef forever." Roger laughed, flipping imaginary pancakes while Lila winked at him over her teacup. Forever wasn't a promise carved in stone. It was moments like this, messy, loud, full of love. And Roger wouldn't trade it for anything. Epilogue. 1 year later, Roger Benton had learned a lot in the past year. Glitter never truly leaves carpet. Slime is a permanent part of his life. And love, real love, doesn't happen in grand gestures. It happens in quiet mornings, shared laughter, and the way someone shows up when it matters. He stood in his backyard, flipping burgers on the grill while Emma darted across the grass in a pink superhero cape, tiara perched on her head like a crown. Lila sat at the picnic table arranging cupcakes, sunlight catching in her hair. The sound of Emma's giggles mingled with the hum of summer, and Roger thought, "This is it. This is everything." The past year had been messy and beautiful. There were challenges, late nights, work stress, Emma's adjustment to sharing her dad, but they'd face them together. Roger never took the promotion. Instead, he negotiated a role that kept him close to home while giving him room to grow. It wasn't easy, but it worked. Because Emma came first. Always. And Lila? She wasn't just part of their lives now. She was woven into the fabric of their days, school drop-offs, pancake Sundays, glitter invasions. Emma adored her. Roger. Well, Roger had stopped pretending he wasn't head over heels months ago. Daddy. Emma barreled toward him, cape flying. Lila says we can have cupcakes before dinner. Roger raised an eyebrow at Lila, who grinned unapologetically. It's a special day. Roger chuckled. What's the occasion? Emma threw her arms wide. It's our familyversary. Roger blinked. Our what? Emma rolled her eyes like he was hopeless. The day Lila came to tea party day and never left. Roger laughed, heart squeezing. That's not exactly how it happened. Emma shrugged. Close enough. Lila walked over, slipping her hand into Roger's. She's not wrong. Roger looked at her, warmth flooding his chest. Guess we should celebrate then. Emma squealed. Cupcakes first. Roger groaned. Fine. But only because it's a familyversary. Later, after cupcakes and chaos, Emma curled up in a hammock with her unicorn plush, drifting towards sleep. Roger and Lila sat on the porch, watching fireflies dance in the twilight. You know, Lila said softly. A year ago, I was crying in your car thinking my life was over. Roger smiled faintly. And now? She leaned against him, voice warm. Now I know it was just beginning. Roger kissed her temple, heart full. Me too. They sat in silence for a while, the kind that feels like home. Tomorrow would bring more glitter, more slime, more life. But tonight? Tonight was perfect. And for Roger Benton, that was enough. The end.